Here are three major reasons that we know Jesus is not a knockoff or plagiarism of pagan god stories. The first point is that the parallels are either not there or completely made up. Let's look at Mithra, for example. Mithra has absolutely no virgin birth. In fact, Mithra emerged out of a rock. And the funny thing is, he even emerged out of this rock as an adult, not as a baby. Mithra has no mother, virgin birth, and certainly no manger. Mithra was also never actually killed, let alone crucified. As a Mithraic scholar Gordon Richard says, there is no death of Mithras. And if he didn't die, that of course means there was no Last Supper, no crucifixion, no burial, and no resurrection on the third day. Now how about Dionysus? Dionysus was born from Zeus having sex with Semele. In Hesiod's poem called Theogony, it reads that, and Semele, daughter of Cadmos, was joined with him, Zeus, in love, and bare him a splendid son, joyous Dionysus, a mortal woman, an immortal son, and now they both are gods. Dionysus died by being torn up into a bunch of pieces by the Titans, and boiled in a pot and eaten by them. There are at least 6 different accounts of what happens to him after that. While most restoration accounts are too ambiguous to matter, there is one story that reads Dionysus was deceived by the Titans and expelled from the throne of Jupiter and torn in pieces by them, and his remains being afterwards put together again, he returned as it were once more to life and ascended to heaven. Pretty close to the story of Jesus. The problem is this source, Contra Celsum, was written by the early church father Origen in 248 AD, over 2 centuries after the story of Jesus had already been established and circulating. This is a post-Christ resurrection story. If anything, it may have been the Dionysus cults that adopted this idea from Christianity. As historian Dr. Gary Habermas has said,
I don't know anybody who thinks Dionysus is pre-Christian, not the resurrection portion.
So when it comes to Dionysus, we find no virgin birth, no crucifixion, and no pre-Christ bodily resurrection. As for Horus, he also had no virgin birth. Isis had sex with Osiris, after reassembling his body parts, which were torn apart and scattered over Egypt. As Egyptologist and professor at the University of Arizona, Dr. Richard Wilkinson has written, through her magic, Isis revivified the sexual member of Osiris and became pregnant by him, eventually giving birth to their child, Horus. Was Horus crucified? There actually exists not a single record of Horus ever even dying. Since he didn't die, this means he wasn't buried in a tomb or resurrected from the dead. Historian J.Z. Smith famously said in his essay in the Encyclopedia of Religion, the category of dying and rising gods, once a major topic of scholarly investigation, must now be understood to have been largely a misnomer, based on imaginative reconstructions and exceedingly late or highly ambiguous texts. There is no unambiguous instance in the history of religions of a dying and rising deity. So while the story of Jesus is often compared to pagan myths, primary sources for these myths demonstrate that the similarities are either spurious, ambiguous, or completely made up.